The 2025 Rolex 24 has officially concluded from Daytona International Speedway, and Team Penske goes back-to-back in a thriller and wins their second straight Rolex 24. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. I just got done watching the 2025 Rolex 24 from Daytona International Speedway. We got quite a bit to talk about from this race. Let's go and talk about it. So let's first begin by talking about the final hour of the race. So at the end of the race, after a caution came out, I think for an LMP2 car that got stopped on the bottom of the track, I think the 99 car or something like that, if I'm not mistaken, or GT car that stopped on the bottom of the racetrack, the caution would come out with around an hour to go. This would turn into a 4-car race at the time between the 7 Penske Porsche, the 60 Meyer-Shank Acura, the number 6 Porsche Penske machine, and the number 24 BMW. Now, for most of the race, the number 7 and the number 6 had been the strongest cars. But the 60 and 24 were there most of the night as well. The 60 had led part of this race. The 24 had led part of this race, especially early in the event. But it came down between these four for the win. On the ensuing restart, with around 40 minutes to go in the race, Dries Van Thor, who was very, very quick early in the event, he tried to make the move to the inside to get to the race lead. There was some contact from damage. They had porpoising on the front of the nose. I'm a little surprised they didn't change the nose on that car. They probably should have, because it cost them a chance and an opportunity to win. When they got a ton of damage, with 30 minutes to go, they would come down pit road. They would fall out of this race. So at this point, you had the 7 leading the race and the 6 in second position. But you had a hard-charging number 60 Meyer-Shank racing car. Tom Blomqvist, we know, is a fantastic IMSA road racer. He was absolutely doing an incredible job near the end of the race and was running down the 2 leaders as those 2 cars were putting on a really good show in the final hour of this race. With 25 minutes to go, the number 6 car tried to take the lead from the number 7, at the time being driven by Matt Campbell. He used his stuff up, tried to move to the inside, tried to move to the outside to get the lead. He could not pass him, and Philippe Nasr hung on to the lead. They were going back and forth for about 4 or 5 minutes. Eventually, the number 6 car, they used their stuff up and they started falling back. And eventually, with around 4 or 5 minutes to go, after waiting a long time, Tom Blomqvist would get around Matt Campbell to take over second position. Tom Blomqvist would desperately try everything to get up there and was starting to run him down, but he made the pass way too late. He was cutting down a couple tenths every single lap. Coming to the white flag, he was 1.7 seconds back and was starting to run down Philippe Nasr. Unfortunately, he would run out of time, wouldn't have the opportunity to catch him, and coming off the final corner for the second straight year in a row, Team Penske comes off the corner and wins their second straight Rolex 24, and Philippe Nasr goes back-to-back in the Rolex 24. This also will put Nick Tandy in a league class as winning, I think, all of the major events at this point in endurance competition. The Rolex 24, Le Mans 24 hours, I think the Spa 24 hours, I'm pretty sure they mentioned, and some of the other big events that he's been able to win. Congratulations to Team Penske. Look, the number 7 and the 6 cars were the 2 fastest cars, like I mentioned a minute ago. They were the strongest cars out there when Nick Tandy drove the car, when Philippe Nasr drove the car, when Lawrence Van Thor drove the car. It didn't really matter. That 7 car was on the rails at the end of the event. They led a ton of laps in this race, and they kept up with the track all night long and all day long, and they got a well-deserved victory. And they put on a really good show. They raced hard, raced clean, and that's what you want to see in these races in IMSA. Congratulations once again to Team Penske on winning the Rolex 24 for the second year in a row. So let's take a look at the top finishers from the GTP class to talk about some of the other winners from the classes as well. So Philippe Nasr picked up the win. The 60 car finished second. Man, I thought Meyer-Shank was going to steal this win away. They were really fast through the night section. Scott Dixon, when he was in the 60 car, he was really, really strong. And the other drivers who got behind the wheel of the number 60, they were very quick too. They just did not have enough time to get up there at the end. Great day, though, for the Meyer-Shank team and Tom Blomqvist to finish in second. Third place for the Porsche Penske 6 car. They were the second best car at the end of the event. They just lost and used their stuff up at the end. That cost them a shot at the win. So a really good day for them. They finished in third place. Dries Van Thor finished fourth. I got to tell you what, Van Thorn absolutely was one of the strongest drivers early in this race. And the 24 car was the fastest car early in this year's Rolex 24. Unfortunately, during the nighttime, they just didn't seem to have the pace, and the car just was never consistent enough to keep up with the track. But still, to finish in fourth position, unfortunately, they had that tire go down, and they ended up going a couple laps down, or 1 lap down at the end. Because of it, 7 or 8 laps complete. Just a tough break at the end of the day. They finished in fourth, still a really solid run. Fifth place finish for Felipe Albuquerque into 10. They went a couple laps down, I think, in the night. Unfortunately, they never really recovered. They also got a drive-through penalty as well near the end of the event. They still put together a really solid performance. I think it led a couple laps in the middle portion. They finished in 5th position. Bruni finishes in 6th. The 85 car never had the pace and speed. The 85 car really thought would be a major threat throughout the day. They just never were a major contender. Robin Frains finished in 7th. They struggled through the nighttime. That's really cost them a shot at this win, unfortunately. They went multiple laps down, had multiple penalties, and finished 4 laps down. They also had some brake issues when they're trying to change the brakes in the middle of the night. That cost them a shot and opportunity. Moving to 8th position, the winner of LMP2 was the Tower Motorsports number 8 car of Sebastian Bourdais. It looked like Paul di Resta and the 22 team were going to win the race. They looked like they were in the right position. The 88 and the 99 cars were actually stronger than these two cars that finished 1 and 2. Unfortunately, the 99 car had some sort of major mechanical issue on the back of the car with about an hour to go in the race. And same thing goes for the 88 car with about an hour and a half left in the race, or 2 hours left in the event. They fell out of the race after dominating near the end. The 88 car lost a shot at the win, but Sebastian Bourdais wins himself, I believe, another Rolex 24. I think he's won the Rolex 24 before, so congratulations, Sebastian Bourdais, still killing it on the racetrack. Great job to finish in 8th place. 9th place finisher, Paul di Resta. Di Resta did a really good job. Unfortunately, they got that penalty for, I think, equipment interference that cost him a shot. They finished in 9th position. The 74 Orca car, the 74 car that Gar Robinson, I think, owns, he finished in 10th position. The 50 PR1 Mathiassen's car led early when Ben Keating was behind the wheel. Unfortunately, they just faded back and they lost multiple laps and never really were a major threat at the end of the day. They ended up finishing a lap down because of it. The 18 car, which actually was the leader at one point, they spun out and I think they had a tire go down and they went multiple laps down in their class because of it. Unfortunately, like I mentioned, 99, they had the brake issue. They went multiple laps down. The 04 car, the Crash Strike car, looked really strong from the LMP2 class, but unfortunately, when Colin Herta was in the car with a couple hours remaining, he spun and backed it into the tire barriers that led to a big wreck that happened later in the event. They still recovered to get a top 15, which is not bad, all things considered. Finishing in 15th position, you had the Acura number 93 for Meyer Shank Racing. They were really strong early in this race. Unfortunately, I believe around hour 4, hour 5, they had some sort of suspension issue. A lot of the GTP cars early in the event had major suspension issues. Palou was doing a really good job behind the wheel early, but never really got a chance to do great things. They still got a top 15 finish, which is not that bad, all things considered. They finished 15th. 16th place finisher, Earl Bamber. The 31 car, when Jack Aiken was behind the wheel about halfway through the race, the car just snapped on them for whatever reason. They just snapped really hard on the outside wall. When Friedrich Vesey was driving the car, I believe it was, that's who I believe was behind the wheel, that car snapped to the right, to the outside, and their day unfortunately ended really before they could have a chance to win. I think they would have had a shot to win the race, unfortunately, but their night would come to an end. Moving on to GT Pro, the 65 GT Pro Multimatic machine for Ford Mustang won the race in GT Pro. They were the fastest cars most of the day. The 65 and 64 were two of the strongest cars. Unfortunately, there was a lot of drama that happened in GT Pro between the number 4 and the number 1 car. So with about an hour and a half to 2 hours left in the race, there was some really stupid drama that happened. Basically, they've had the 48 car that was like 55 or 60 laps down for a massive accident we're going to talk about here in just a minute. Just really stupid driving on all parts. Augusto Farfus embarrassed himself out there. I don't know if it was just Augusto Farfus' decision to do what he did on the track, or if it was the other team that did it, but just completely unnecessary from the 48 to do what they did, blocking. They were still blocking even after they got a penalty, and I think that Tommy Milner summed it up very, very well. Then you have retaliation for Nico Verone on the 1 car, which I don't feel like was fully justified, even though I think that BMW deserved some justification from the Paul Miller Racing team. It's such a shame because it ruined the really good battle in GTD Pro, but they did a really, really good job, all things considered, until that stupid stuff happened. Continuing down on the list, let's talk about the Trackhouse car really quick and the number 91 car. They were in contention at the end of the event. We're going to do a special video dedicated to the Trackhouse car running the Rolex 24. They never had the pace and speed to contend, unfortunately. They just never were up to snuff until the end of the race. It looked like they were going to have a chance to win. Then Connor Zilisch spun out with about an hour to go in the race. I think he ran into the number 18 or another car. I think Paul Chatin was behind the wheel of the 18 at the time when they spun out. They clipped him. They had a little bit of damage, but they were able to get back on the restart. They got pushed into the grass, came back and hit somebody, and they got a drive-through penalty. And they did finish 25th, which all things considered, not that bad. They did complete most of the laps. I think they finished on the lead lap 2 or maybe 1 lap down in GTD Pro after that. They still got themselves a top 25 finish. Not that bad, all things considered. Moving on, finishing 26 was the winner of GTD, the regular one. Matthew Bell in the 13 car. They went to victory lane, so Corvette did get a win, so congratulations to them. Some of the really strong GTD cars were collected in some of the big incidents. Let's continue on down, and let's talk about some of the big names that were collected in incidents. The 14 Lexus, they had issues. They had trouble near the middle portion of the night. They got a ton of damage. They came back out, but their night and chance to win was completely over after that. I mentioned the 88 Orca car, chance to win the race. Unfortunately lost her shot after getting caught up in that wreck with a few laps to go. Moving down, let's talk about the big incident that took place between the number 40 GTP car driven by Wayne Taylor Racing and the Wayne Taylor car at the time driven by Louis Delatres. I think this 40 car legitimately could have had a shot to win the race. When Kamui Kobayashi was behind the wheel, the 40 car was the strongest car in the field. Unfortunately, when Louis Delatres got behind the wheel on one of the restarts after one, I think it was the Magnus Racing car driven by Andy Lally, had stopped on the racetrack, it brought out a caution, and Louis Delatres on cold tires, it lost it. I thought at the time maybe Alex Palou had got into the back of him. And then he just lost it, and a bunch of cars clobbered him. A bunch of cars in the LMP2 class got clobbered. The 2 car that was up front most of the night, I think the number 48 was collected in that wreck. The 9 Pfaff Motorsports car that was a major threat and contender, they were collected in that accident, unfortunately. Just a really unfortunate situation there for the 40 car that had a chance to win. Kamui was putting up a hell of a clinic, and I think that 40 car could have been a major threat had things gone well. The 63 Lamborghini had issues early. I think electrical gremlins and battery issues that took them out of contention early. And there were a lot of really major threats that had a shot to win. The 5 car, the time driven by Nico Pino, they had another suspension issue that took them out of the race as well. So only like 4 cars had a chance to win overall. That's really what happened with all the major contenders. So let's talk about the overall Rolex 24 as a whole. Early in the race, it kind of started off slow. You had really, really good racing. You had a lot of side-by-side stuff throughout the field. And you had drivers putting on a really solid and good performances in each class. I think the finish of this race, though, was really, really good. I thought the final hour of the race is outstanding. Once they got back green, the final 4 minutes was intriguing, was exciting. You had the great battle between the Penske cars for the win and the Meyer-Shank car coming up there to contend. And you had really good racing throughout all the classes. You had the drama between the 4 and the 1 cars, which was really, really fun to watch. And overall, I did enjoy this Rolex 24. For me, one of the most unpredictable Rolex 24s that I've watched in a very, very long time, which creates a lot of excitement when you have a lot of that. And when you don't really know who's going to win unless you're Team Penske, it's kind of interesting because it looked like early in the night the 24 was going to win. Then maybe the number 10 was going to win this race. Then the 40 was going to win. But at the end of the day, it was Team Penske going back-to-back. The number 7 car goes to victory lane. If history repeats itself, Team Penske might win a NASCAR Cup championship with Ryan Blaney or Joey Logano this upcoming year. If we look at the historical trends, Ryan Blaney won the championship 23, Logano won it 24. Maybe it's Ryan Blaney's turn to win a Cup championship. But congratulations, Team Penske, on winning the Rolex 24. So, that is going to be it for this short race review of the Rolex 24. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go below that and comment below your thoughts below on today's episode. What are your thoughts on this year's Rolex 24? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. There will be a video talking about the car that Shane Van Gisbergen, Connor Zilisch, Ben Keating, and Scott McLaughlin drove. We'll probably touch on Austin Cindric's performance in that video as well, along with Parker Clearman's performance since they were competing in it as well. We've got content on people like Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, Haley Deegan, Bubba Wallace, Chase Elliott coming soon, Carson Quaffle, Sam Mayer, Sheldon Creed, Connor Zilisch again with Junior Motorsports, the lawsuit with NASCAR, 2011 front row, Chandler Smith, some news about a driver swap or number swap coming. We'll talk about Casey Kane, Cletus McFarland, again, other big names in the field like Alex Palou, Brendan Hartley, you name it, Jordan Taylor, all the big names that competed in the event. We'll be talking about all those people really soon in a video coming up as well. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody. Mention Matt, the Benedetto, Frankie Muniz as well.